breaking news this morning. Masters champion and #1 player in the world, Scottie Scheffler, was detained by police Friday morning on his way to the PGA Championship. Stunning images showed him handcuffed as he was led to a police car. ESPN reported he failed to follow police orders following a pedestrian fatality investigation. Police say a pedestrian was hit by a bus on the road leading to Valhalla Golf Club in a lane dedicated to tournament traffic. ESPN says Scheffler drove past a police car and was chased down and cuffed. Here's video from our Jeff Darlington, who will join us momentarily, who was present while the arrest took place.
Guys.
Dude,
Step back.
back up or you
I'm back.
Step back.
I'm back.
You're a good one, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Guys,
What do we tell you?
I'm staying back.
Here's the thing. Right now, he's going to jail.
Okay.
Okay? He's going to jail, and it ain't nothing you can do about it. Period. There's nothing you can do about it.
Okay.
Okay. Now, do you have
First,
a question?
I'm media. I'm a
Okay,
reporter.
okay.
So that's all.
That's fine.
I just want to make sure that's
Okay,
known.
but you need to step
No
back
problem.
over here
No
now.
problem. You got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Scottie Scheffler's statement in regard to today's events. This morning, I was proceeding and directed by police officers. It was a very chaotic situation, understandably so, considering the tragic accident that had occurred earlier. There was a big misunderstanding of what I thought I was being asked to do. I never intended to disregard any of the instructions. I'm hopeful to put to the side this and focus on golf today. Of course, all of us involved in the tournament express our deepest sympathies to the family of the man who passed away in the earlier accident this morning. It truly puts everything in perspective. And now we welcome in the voice you just heard, our own Jeff Darlington. Jeff, good morning. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Jeff.
Oh, good morning, Molly.
Yeah, Jeff, obviously you were on site there. Take us through what happened this morning in what seems very unprecedented events.
Well, certainly surreal, guys. I was coming into the facility myself here at Valhalla Golf Club at 6 a.m. And basically there was already a traffic buildup due to the very tragic and very sad fatality of a pedestrian down the road. There were allowing, though, people into the golf club. They told us that we could come in as members of the broadcast team. They said that players were also going to be allowed to enter, and ultimately Scottie Scheffler being one of them. 2 cars behind a bus that did not have a driver in it. Scheffler decided to go around. A police officer went to his window, tried to stop him. Scheffler continued to proceed. The officer then attached himself to the side of the vehicle. Scheffler continued to drive about 15 yards before stopping. At that point, the officer then, first of all, hit Scheffler's car with a flashlight, told Scheffler to roll down his window, reached in, opened the door himself, pulled Scheffler out of the car, put him up against the car, and immediately into handcuffs. Made very clear to me, very clear to me, as you saw in that video, that he was headed to jail.
Jeff, appreciate you being on the show. Thank you so much. Did they have any idea who it was that they were arresting? And if not so immediately, when did they recognize who it was they were arresting?
Well, I can tell you that they did not, Stephen, because they walked up to me as I tried to approach and, again, made very clear that I was a member of the media and said, one police officer with a pad in hand said, who is it that we just arrested? To which I responded, that's Scottie Scheffler.
So with that being said, another thing was Scottie. He was driving himself, correct? Nobody from the PGA was driving him or anything like that?
No, and he was in a vehicle that did say official vehicle of the PGA Championship. And I mean, clear as day on the side of the car. Of course, the contention here, as far as the charges are concerned, is whether Scheffler should have stopped. I walked up to Scheffler as this was happening, and he looked at me and said, can you help me? And I said to him, I tried to say something to the officer. Of course, as a member of the media, there's nothing I can do in that situation, nor should I intervene. But I said something of what I saw. And Scheffler said, you know, I didn't know it was a police officer. Again, when he was in the back of the police car, they took the handcuffs off him for a moment, and then and then basically let him adjust his wrists and then put the handcuffs back on him. He tried to apologize to the arresting officer and say, I didn't know you were a police officer. The officer was having none of that and basically dismissed Scheffler and wanted nothing to do with any type of explanation.
Could you paint a picture of how long the officer, because from what we were told, through your exceptional reporting, by the way, along with others, what we were told was that the officer was literally hanging onto the car and Scheffler still drove 20 feet, 15 to 20 feet or so? What is that accurate?
Yeah, I would say it was about 20 yards, 15 to 20 yards. Like, I don't want to, be overly factual. I certainly can't say exactly how the distance was, but I will say that Scheffler, the way I saw it, he pulled into the median and the officer was wearing, it was rainy, it was dark. The officers were wearing these yellow, very bright jackets. I don't want to speak to whether it was very clearly labeled or not. I'm sure that's going to be a matter of this case. But I can at least say that given the chaos of the situation, I don't want to say I can understand where Scheffler was coming from, but I can just tell you that Scheffler did not know it was a police officer.
Jeff, talk to us once you got to the course. What was the reaction and the pulse there?
Well, I came straight to do some TV, quite the adrenaline rush following that, because I think I anticipated, as by the way, I thought Scottie anticipated that potentially this would all go away. I don't think that, based on my brief interaction with him as he was getting into the patrol car, that this would end with him being booked and charged with 4 different counts.
Jeff, when could you explain to our audience, for example, folks might ask the simplest of questions like, why was he driving himself? Why didn't the PGA have somebody driving him?
Sure.
Could you speak to that, please?
Yeah. Sometimes players. By the way, I apologize. We're getting rained on. We got earpiece issues.
Yeah,
We're getting through
Jeff,
this.
you
We got a
still
morning.
look great.
You're doing great.
So.
Players do often drive themselves in the morning. They often also will come maybe with their caddy or their agent or a manager. Scheffler was definitely on the early end, which, by the way, he was in the earlier wave of players. So it's not really that weird that he was there. The weird part was the chaos of the morning, again, due to the very tragic and very sad fatality that occurred between a maintenance worker here at the facility and a shuttle bus that struck that person fatally. And that happened down the street and caused this traffic buildup. Again, I can't emphasize enough the car that he was driving, though, as players often do. I don't know if you've ever seen them, but a lot of times at these tournaments, they'll be driving like the sponsored vehicle of the tournament, and it will say on the side, official car of the PGA Championship. That is exactly what Scottie Scheffler's car said. They very clearly did not know who he was. He did not seem to, at least from my vantage point, express in any way. He didn't say, do you know who I am? I am Scottie Scheffler. He didn't do any of those things. He went with it, never raised his voice even. He definitely had a look in his eyes as he was being arrested that this was as surreal as what I felt like I was witnessing. But to be very clear, it was usual and normal for him to drive himself in that early. What was unusual was the chaos of the morning, the darkness, the rain, and the police vehicles that were there completely with nothing to do with the Scheffler situation.
And I also think that's interesting context that you said that he wasn't identifying himself, who he was, where he's about to go as the #1 golfer in the world, et cetera, and just kind of obliging and following orders at that point.
I never saw, Molly, I think that is important. I never saw him raise his voice. Again, I don't want to dismiss any of this. We must let whatever, the normal things you say. We have to let the law figure this out. But because he does have a felony count, second-degree assault against a police officer against him. So when this golf round ends, this is not over. I will just say, once the arrest was made, I never heard Scottie Scheffler so much as raise his voice. I saw a very confused person, but within the 2-minute span of when he thought he was pulling into the golf club where he was participating in the PGA Championship as the #1 player in the world, he was in the back of a patrol car in handcuffs.
Jeff, excellent reporting. Thank you for bearing the elements for us. I know you're running around this morning, but we really
My
appreciate
apologies
the
for
time.
all the,
No, don't
Thank you, Jeff.
apologize.
No
You
apologies.
gave great color and context to
Thank
the
you, guys.
situation. So thank you so much.